The distress beacon had been silent for 3 days when Sarah's shuttle touched down on Kepler 442b. The colony world was supposed to be a paradise: lush forests, breathable atmosphere, and no apex predators larger than a house cat. That's what the surveys had promised. But the 17 missing colonists suggested otherwise. Sarah checked her plasma rifle one more time before stepping out onto the moss-covered landing pad. The air tasted like copper and ozone, thick with moisture from the perpetual mist that clung to the canopy above. Her boots squelched in the soft earth as she made her way toward the silent prefab structures that had been home to the research team. "Command, this is Rescue 7, she spoke into her comm. "I'm on site." "No visual contact with colonists yet," Static crackled back. She was on her own. The first building showed signs of a struggle. Overturned furniture, shattered data pads, claw marks gouged deep into the metal walls. But no bodies, no blood. Just an eerie absence that made her skin crawl. Sarah's scanners detected movement in the forest beyond the compound. Large movement. Something that definitely qualified as an apex predator. She should have returned to the shuttle. Protocol demanded it. But Sarah had never been good at following protocol when lives were at stake. The forest swallowed her whole. Bioluminescent fungi cast everything in shades of blue and purple, creating shadows that moved independently of their sources. Her rifle swept left and right, tracking every rustle, every snap of a branch. The creature, whatever it was hunting her now. She could feel its presence like a weight on her shoulders. Then she heard it, a low, rumbling growl that vibrated through her chest cavity. Sarah spun around just as something massive launched itself from the undergrowth. The predator was magnificent and terrifying in equal measure. It stood nearly 3 meters tall on 4 powerful legs, covered in midnight black scales that shimmered with an oil-slick iridescence. Its head was all angles and teeth, with 6 eyes arranged in a hexagonal pattern that locked onto her with predatory focus. This was no house cat, Sarah fired. The plasma bolt struck the creature's shoulder and it roared, a sound that sent birds exploding from the trees in panic. But instead of retreating, it charged. She dove sideways, rolling behind a massive tree trunk, just as the predator's claws tore through the space she'd occupied. Her rifle had been knocked from her hands in the fall, unarmed, alone. Exactly the kind of situation that got people killed on frontier worlds. The creature circled the tree, and Sarah mirrored its movement, keeping the trunk between them. Her mind raced through options, none of them good. Then she felt it. Tiny pinpricks against her back, right through her reinforced suit. Small claws, delicate but definitely there, gripping the fabric. Her blood ran cold. A juvenile. The adult wasn't hunting her for food. It was defending its young. And somehow one of its cubs had climbed onto her back during the chaos. Sarah froze. Moving meant threatening the cub. Threatening the cub meant the parent would tear her apart. But standing still meant the adult predator rounded the tree and stopped. Its 6 eyes fixed not on Sarah's face but on her back, on its offspring. The creature's posture shifted from aggressive to something else. Uncertain, protective, but hesitant. "Easy," Sarah whispered, though she knew the creature couldn't understand her words. "Easy. I'm not going to hurt your baby." The tiny claws dug in deeper, and Sarah felt something warm and furry press against her neck. The cub was purring, a high-pitched vibration that sounded almost like a human infant's giggle. Despite everything, despite the terror coursing through her veins, Sarah felt something in her chest soften. Slowly, carefully, she reached back. The adult predator tensed, muscles coiling to strike. But Sarah's hand found the cub's small body and gently, so gently, began to stroke its scaled head. The purring intensified. Minutes passed like hours. The adult watched, those 6 eyes never blinking, calculating the threat this human posed to its offspring. Sarah kept her movements minimal, her breathing steady, her touch gentle on the cub's tiny head. Then the cub decided it had had enough adventure for one day. It scrambled down Sarah's back with surprising agility and bounded toward its parent. The adult scooped the juvenile up with a massive paw, checking it over with what could only be described as parental concern. When those 6 eyes turned back to Sarah, something had changed. The killing intent was gone, replaced by what she could have sworn was curiosity. The predator made a low chuffing sound, almost conversational, then turned and melted back into the forest with its cub. Sarah stood there for a long moment, her legs shaking, adrenaline slowly draining from her system. Then she heard it, voices. Human voices calling out from somewhere deeper in the forest. She found them 2 kilometers from the compound, all 17 colonists, alive and unharmed, living in a makeshift camp. They explained everything. The predators weren't monsters, they were intelligent, social, and curious about the humans. The attack on the compound had been the cubs exploring, their parents trying to retrieve them, and panicked colonists misinterpreting protective behavior as aggression. The colonists had left the compound to give the creatures space, to observe from a distance, to learn. They'd meant to update command, but their long-range comm had been damaged in the initial confusion. As Sarah's shuttle lifted off 3 days later, she looked down at the forest. Somewhere down there, a cub named Hunter, she decided he needed a name, was probably getting into trouble, climbing on things he shouldn't, making his parents worry. She smiled. Humanity had a lot to learn about the galaxy, but maybe, just maybe, they could start by remembering that sometimes the most dangerous-looking creatures were just parents trying to protect their young. And sometimes the scariest moment of your life could become the most profound lesson in trust. The stars beckoned, full of unknowable wonders and terrors. Sarah set course for home, carrying with her the memory of tiny claws and the weight of understanding.